So let's go ahead and cover the installation of the vent cover onto the rear vent. So vent settings, let's talk about these a little bit. Now, most people probably know, how to work their vents, but just in case, don't want to assume anything, right? So there's the center wheel here that either restricts all airflow or it opens up the vent for maximum airflow. And that's what these lines designate. So fully closed, fully open. Obviously, we want this thing fully opened. We do not want the vents pointing down, the louvers pointing down or up or left or totally right. We want, as much airflow, unrestricted airflow to get through this vent as possible. So we want the vents horizontally. We want them opened maximally, and then the vertical louvers, we want them to bias sort of toward the middle, so that when this thing is, when the vent is installed, all that air is getting channeled through the through the opening and not, bouncing around in the back, in the back of the adapter here. Step 2 would be to clean the vent, right? A lot of cars, are detailed. They have Armor All or other products that, greasy products that help keep your interior shiny. That's not going to work for the tape adhesive. So in the kit, it does include some alcohol prep pads. So you're gonna give yourself a fighting chance and clean that vent cover, remove as much of that, those detailing products and create a nice clean surface for that tape to adhere to. Okay, with the vent frame cleaned and degreased, then we can go ahead and dry fit, right? Dry fit this adapter onto the mount, onto the frame. This particular vent cover is custom built for this vent. So as we could feel, actually, I don't know if we could see, right? This is the wrong orientation. We're not covering the frame appropriately. So we're gonna rotate it and look at it again. And we could feel with our fingers, right, how well it's centered on the frame. And once you've got the orientation right, don't change it. The next step is going to be to remove the red protective cover on the foam tape. The best way that I saw, I'm able to sort of describe how to do this is the foam tape is actually gray itself. So if you put a fingernail on that gray part, right, and then you could start to work the red cover off of the foam tape. It takes a little bit of time and patience, but yeah, you don't want to destroy or damage that foam tape as best as you can, right? So you go ahead and do that, for all of the adhesive tape that is present. So once you have all the tape removed, if you lost your orientation, you can definitely dry fit it again on the vent, and we see that this is the wrong orientation. We see too much of the frame poking out of the top. So we'll go ahead and rotate that, and that fits better. So once that's here, so the recommendation that I have is to align these top corners first, and just one side, just so you can get some adhesive to bond to the frame, and then slowly rotate the rest of the vent down until you get full contact with the rest of the adhesive and the vent connector. You're going to hold this for 10 seconds, right? 1, 2, 3. And once you're done with that, then the vent cover is actually attached. With this particular adhesive, with this particular tape adhesive for 3M, you're going to need to wait at a minimum 24 hours for the adhesive to set and cure. 72 hours is the sweet spot for maximal strength. Attempting to use this right after installing the vent adapter, the vent cover, might result in premature failure of the tape, right? So again, this is a little bit of a waiting game where you're going to need to wait for the adhesive to cure. So through the magic of television, right, it's been 24 hours, 72 hours, whatever it is, and now this, this is attached, not permanently, but certainly bonded to the vent. And with that, you can now use your, you can now attach your Noggle adapter to it, and then, you're off and running, connected to your rear vent, right? And when you're not using it, you can simply remove the vent adapter, and you can have access to all these controls again for if you've got passengers or whatever sitting in needing access to the rear vent.